want to stay be here for a while.
I'm a little nervous.
Yeah.
Are we supposed to start the drum roll?
When on air's on, you're on. Go on.
Get your down.
It's July 18th at 7 o'clock, and the Chaska Park Board will come to order. Mary, will you do a roll call for us, please?
Chair David Downs,
Here?
Vice Chair Jason Branch, Elizabeth Wyveen,
Here.
Georgianne Keyport,
Here.
Zach Saressig,
Here.
Danielle Hi,
Here.
Carly Sitch,
Here.
Thomas Massey,
Here.
Jalen Destin.
Here.
Thank you. Okay, the next item on the agenda is to adopt the agenda. Can I have a motion to do so?
I motion to adopt the agenda.
Motion from Elizabeth, second.
I second.
Second from Carly. All in favor, say aye.
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 The agenda is adopted. Visitor presentation. Seeing none. I assume, Kevin, we don't have anybody on Zoom? We will we'll close the visitor presentation section then. Next item, item 5, is the approval of the previous minutes. The June 8th Park Board meeting minutes. Is there any comment on the minutes? Can I have a motion to approve the minutes?
I motion to approve the minutes from the June 8th Park Board meeting.
Donnell's motion, second.
I second.
Liz's second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Park Board meeting is approved. Minutes from the 8th are approved. The next items are receive the council and planning meeting minutes. We've got the council minutes from May 17th, council meetings from June 7th, and planning board minutes from May 12th. We don't need a motion on this. We just need to accept. Are there any comments on any of those minutes? Hearing none, we'll accept the minutes from the City Council and the Planning Commission. Moving on to discussion items. Item 7A is update on pedestrian and bicycle master plan. Liz, I believe that's you
Sure.
and Jalen.
Sure. The walking and biking survey results, as well as the wiki map results, are posted out on the project website, and that is walkbikechaska.org. So I encourage everyone to go out there and check out the survey results if you're interested or haven't had a chance to do so yet. And then a calendar item is we're going to have a pop-up workshop coming up over Chaska River City Days, which is not this weekend, but the following. That's July 23rd through the 25th. There will probably be some bicycle steering committee members there, as well as Antonio and possibly some members of his team that will be there. And this is the community's opportunity to come out and talk with the steering committee and voice any comments or questions that you may have missed addressing during the survey or didn't get a chance to quite figure out the wiki map. I know I couldn't quite figure that out myself. So this will be your chance to throw in your thoughts, your ideas. This is the time to dream, because if you don't get your comments in there, they won't be part of the plan. So if you missed the survey or the wiki map, this is a great opportunity to do so. And then we also have some...
Could you give the date and time again on that, please?
Yeah, sure. I don't know, Marshall, if we have a time set yet?
Yep. So Friday night, July 23rd, will be from 4 to 8 p.m.
4 to 8.
And then on Saturday, the 24th, it'll be from 10 in the morning till 6 at night.
Okay.
Yep.
So that's July 23rd and the 24th.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah, so make sure to come down. And then we also hope by having these pop-up work sessions to get to reach out to some of those people that we feel might have been like underrepresented in the survey, maybe that younger generation or something to that effect.
Is this associated with River City Days? Is that what it's going to be?
No, the pop-up
Pop-up?
event, yep,
Yeah.
where we hope to get additional comments,
Yeah.
questions, concerns.
Okay.
I think it runs that Friday and Saturday of that event.
Yeah, so it's like a tent down at the River City Days? or-
Like a
Yep.
booth
Yep,
of some
booth.
sort.
Yep.
Yeah. And then the committee is also going to have several listening sessions, and this is where we'll meet with particular groups in the community, such as the mountain biking club, as that has kind of that younger generation who we hope to reach out to. And then the Carver County Community Development Agency, where hopefully we can reach a wide variety of income groups there as well. So there's not this huge disparity of people in the community who have responded to the survey. And then the only other thing I'd like to say, I guess, is I just continue to be impressed by Antonio and his team. And they talk about stressing the importance of reaching out to those who are interested in walking and biking, but are concerned, which makes up 60% of the people that took the survey. So there's a lot of interest, but, you know, that says there's reservations, there's something that we could do to increase those people's walking and biking in the city. And I really appreciate that he and his team don't just say, oh, this particular treatment is statistically safe, meaning like, oh, this beacon light, if you put that, it'll be safe. If you put signs down on the street, it's going to be safe. They want it to not only be statistically safe, but they want it to feel safe to the people in the community that are providing comments. So if people said a boulevard makes them feel the safest, or a 2-lane bike road would be safer, he really wants to take that into consideration, and what our community is saying would make them feel safe. So I really appreciate all the work that they're doing with that. Jalen, do you have anything you'd like to add?
No, I just would like to comment on Antonio and how I can tell they're really into what they do, and that they really care about, he really cares about what the people think, and I really appreciate that about him, and that's the only thing I have to say.
Is he pretty pleased with the input to date from the community?
I think so. Our goal was 1,000 people, and we reached just slightly over that. So,
Good.
and that was, they tracked it by, it was all separate people who visited the survey or the wiki map. So hopefully by having this event at River City Days, we'll be able to get the vast majority of the population who weren't able to do the survey or the wiki map.
Who's going to be at doing the pop-up? Like, who's going to be at it?
I don't know if we have volunteers yet.
Yeah, so myself and Antonio will be there to kick it off Friday night. And then I'm going to be sending out a sign-up Genius link out to the steering committee to look for some volunteers to manage it throughout some of Saturday. So
Is there going to be some advertisement or notification to the community that that pop-up is going to be there, and come in and please give us your thoughts and ideas?
I don't know whether or not River City Days is putting out a complete list of their vendors per se, but we could certainly put something out on our end. You know, come see us down at River City Days. We are also going to be located right next to the City of Chaska's booth at the fair, or at the River City Days. So I anticipate we'll see some pretty good foot traffic just based on the amount of people that typically attend that event. So
Great.
should be good. But yeah, big thank you to the steering committee members for all the work they're putting in, and the passion. I know one of the recent exercises they provided feedback on was to also start to help formulate kind of the vision and the goals for the plan too. So looking forward to seeing what feedback came out of that as well.
Great. Anything else on that subject?
I think that's it for now.
Okay, moving on to the next item, the naming rights and sponsorship. Marshall? is
Yes,
that
I
you?
just wanted to provide an update on this. So as you remember, back in May is when we kicked off this agenda item with a work session where we learned a little bit about what the opportunity could be for naming rights and sponsorship revenue and looking at our facilities. We got to hear from a consultant in the industry, Chris Potenza, who works for Front Burner Sports. And so it was really through that work session with the park board and then also a work session that we conducted with the city council. And the feedback coming out of that really was the desire to want to pursue this further and see what the potential is. And so I had mentioned back in June that I was starting to work on putting together the RFP. So I recently completed that, and it was sent out directly to 6 consulting firms yesterday. Those firms include Front Burner Sports, Fillion Partners, Spectra Experience, the Superlative Group, Team Services, and Trenches Consulting. So those were the primary consulting firms that I was able to find, and they were ones that were also involved in the process with some of the other local entities that have gone through this process in the metro area. We'll also be placing a link to the RFP on our website, so it'll be available for the public as well. And then you all should have received an email from me yesterday with that RFP for you to be able to reference. So the deadline we put on that was for the end of July. And so looking forward to seeing what responses we get back. And then from there, staff will review those proposals and then come back with a recommendation to the park board in either August or September. And so I think it'll really, and that'll be where those proposals, everything that gets submitted will be public at that point. So those will be available in the packets. I think depending on the number of proposals we get and the complexity of them, the first decision we'll need to make is whether or not we'd want to interview some of the consultants. And then just kind of determine from there the process going forward. But ultimately, bring that back to the park board and seek your recommendation to go to city council.
Are you looking for comments on the RFP?
Sure, if you have some.
Yeah, I've got a couple of things. First, I thought it was well done, okay, but there was a couple of things that I was a little confused with, and I thought you might want to do some clarification on the thing. On page 6 in task 2 under follow-up situation, it was really pretty vague about, information regarding the community center. And certainly in the beginning of the document, it talks about that it's centered around the curling center and the event center, and that's what we're going to go first. But then it brought in some information, or asking for information while they were doing this, about the applicability to the community center.
Yep.
And that seemed like you're trying to put something in there that is either going to come back and it's going to be really wishy-washy vague, or it's going to increase the price because people are going to look at that as an assignment that they're going to have to give more data and information in regard to the community center.
Mm-hmm.
And the same, I think, would hold true, that it didn't address any of the in-facility advertising or sponsorships. And so I thought what may be clarification is just that there be notification in there that not in this proposal, but there will be subsequent proposals requested to address the community center as well as in-facility opportunities for us.
Yep.
You may want to think about that a little bit. And the other thing I thought was missing a little bit, I was expecting to see, is that they would give an estimate of their expectations as far as, revenues from the naming of the facilities.
Mm-hmm.
You ask them for certainly a good layout of their costs and, their quotes on the thing.
Yep.
But I would think that from their previous work, they should give us an idea of what they would expect to gain in the way of revenues from this kind of effort, so you can have some kind of balance on the thing.
Okay. Yeah, and those are certainly some follow-up questions I can ask
Yeah.
of them.
Yeah, it's certainly not.
In terms of their
We don't have to
response.
go out with a revisal or anything like that, but that's
Yep.
something you may want to think about a little bit.
Yeah, and I mean, I think they could probably give us, a ballpark, but that'll ultimately be part of phase one, is they'll really be walking the facility and evaluating what all those in-facility sponsorship opportunities can be, and then also, sort of evaluating the overall naming rights, and so they'll be putting together like a valuation package.
Yeah, but what I was thinking is up front, they'd give you from their past experience what they would expect, real ballpark, nothing that you're going to hold them to in the future.
Sure.
But if somebody comes in there and says, hey, I've done this job, and these are the funds that we made available to the cities because of those efforts, and we would expect to do the same kind of thing here, and they may do that automatically, as part of their sales pitch. But it would be nice if we had something up front to judge what their expectations were and what our expectations should be.
Was that part of the conversation that we had back in May, was the gentleman that came in, didn't he give us like a ballpark, like, hey, maybe for this facility, you could get about this kind of money? Because he talked, I think he gave a couple examples.
Sort of generally comparing to the other recent examples.
Yeah.
We're right in the ballpark of like $2 million over
Yeah.
over a 15-year.
Yeah,
Yeah,
term,
that
but-
would be the type of thing I would expect the other
Yeah.
ones give us as well,
Yep.
to see if they're all on the same page of,
Yeah.
what the expectation should be.
If one,
Depend on, whether we go local or regional,
Mm-hmm.
we might be able to reach another dollar threshold, but then also balancing,
Yeah,
this is Chaska, we want to keep
Yeah.
it small town feel.
Yeah, that'll be part of the process,
Right.
And part of I'm thinking is, this is just part of the selection,
yeah,
not once you get into the process and get into the details of, what you can and can't do and who you want to go to and who we don't want them to go to, but just up front,
Yeah.
what do they think?
yeah, because it feels like, I think, and we had talked about this again back in May about, like for the curling center, like a national name brand things would make more sense there, because there's some potential for visibility beyond the reach of our communities. Like if NBC Sports Network does more Curling Night in America from Chaska, could be a huge source of revenue for, for the city through that particular vehicle. But like with the community center, we want to have like Chaska My Love there and things like that. And we're not going to obviously charge them what we would like whatever the,
Right, so that's why I'm kind of saying, like, it might be hard for these people to pinpoint.
Yeah.
Like, they're just gonna throw out random prices.
like somebody says, hey, I'm
If
bringing you $1
have-
million a year, like, that's sold, you got the job,
Yeah.
you got the gig.
So I don't know if it necessarily, I don't think it needs to be in the RFP, but just my thought.
well, I think we see what the responses come back with, and if we feel like we need some more information coming out of it, we can certainly have follow-up questions, to better understand what their proposal and/or their potential would be to work with.
Yeah,
who
what
they have in their portfolio,
what they're
maybe.
going to be going after, what they
Yeah,
think they should be
yeah.
going after. Because it's in their best interest certainly to, maximize the revenue too for their revenue stream.
Yep. Yeah, and I think you're right too, Dave, and just, I'll be curious what type of follow-up questions they have regarding your point of threading in some of the community center stuff, because that was a little difficult in articulating the RFP, because it's sort of like, they are two pretty significant different projects, but I think really what our goal was is just trying to get some feelers out at least.
Yeah,
So that could be some information that comes back to whichever consultant we're working with for the master plan at the community center, along with the citizen task force, to just, again, see if this is what a potential may be based on conversations they've been having with
Are you-
other entities.
and are you thinking that, if for the naming rights of the curling center and the event center, that somewhere along the line, maybe in conjunction with that, they would look at in-facility advertising and
Oh, yeah,
sponsorship as well?
that'll be a part of it, for sure.
That's going to be a part of it?
Yep, yep.
Because that wasn't, I don't think that was articulated in the thing, but, it's,
Yep. So that's kind of more of the and sponsorship. So the sponsorship would be more of the in-facility
right.
opportunities, and then the naming rights would be more of the,
Okay.
He had a great example of the place, I think it was in Elk River. What was it,
Yeah.
like it was some really interesting, like very unique name, but it was a local business.
furniture and
Time
things.
Furniture Mart or
Yeah,
something.
something like that.
Yeah,
It just-
yeah.
I look forward to seeing what we can possibly come up with here. And
How
Like the
many
Carver
and why?
Junk Company Center or something like that, just, I don't know. I'm curious to see what we could possibly come up with here.
Oh, the imagination.
Yeah.
How many proposals would you feel comfortable getting back to take it to the next step where you would select, like 2, 3, or would you require more than 2?
I would prefer we have at least 2. It's always nice to have some competition.
Yes.
But, this is a pretty niche industry, so there aren't a lot of consulting firms that do this type of work. And some of them are more national, so I think it would just depend on what their interest level is. I don't know if this is a small-scale project in terms of the things that they're working on or not, but ideally, it'd be nice if we could get at least 2. I did put a provision in there if we only got 1 and we felt comfortable, with that one and felt like it was a fair price, that we do have the ability to move forward. If we felt like there was, enough opportunity for people to respond, and just in the end, we only got 1, so.
Okay.
Yep,
And you said it's going to be back, you're looking for it at the end of July.
yeah,
And then we would be able to see the responses then at the August meeting?
yep, that'd be my plan, because I kind of built that in, so I'd have about a week and a half to
Yeah.
review them on my end, and then they would go in the packet, and then I would come back and give you kind of my recommendation based on what we got.
Good.
If we selected one, if we found we wanted to move forward and select one, the 3 phases, do you have any idea how long it takes, or you'd expect it would take to go through all 3 phases?
I'm going to anticipate all 3 phases could be up to a year
Okay.
worth, yep.
At what point during the phases do we open it up for public discussion and comment?
So I think there will be, updates coming back to the park board and through to the city council throughout the process,
Okay.
yeah.
But along the way, we will have community input.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and even the way they go about it, there'll be some community engagement, yeah.
It'll be interesting to see when the collective light bulb goes off. Wait, what? We're looking at what? It catches on like wildfire and then the comments come in.
Yeah, yeah. And that's just it for all of us to remember too, is in the end, you know, no agreements will get signed without city council approval, you know, so even if we move forward and hire a consultant to go through the valuation and then do the negotiating and, you know, over time, it comes back and there's just not the comfort level with, you know, what the response is or what the interest is, you know, we wouldn't need to necessarily move forward or feel obligated. And I think that'll probably be the key thing going throughout the process is making sure, in general, people are feeling comfortable, but ultimately it'll be the city council deciding.
Okay. Any further comments or discussion? Moving on to item 7C, update on capital improvement projects.
All right, yeah, I got a few updates on some of the recent projects that have completed, and then, so I'm going to share my screen. It's always nice to have some visuals while we're together. So pull this up. So these first few pictures are the completion of the Lake Grace Trail and the bridge that got installed that ultimately creates a connection to the underpass that goes under Highway 41 just south of Pioneer Trail. So I'll just click through these. It kind of scrolls forward as you're approaching the bridge. And so there's the path in front of those townhomes there. And then the nice curve leading up to the bridge. It's a nice shot of the bridge. It was quite the spectacle when they installed the bridge. It required cranes to lift it from Highway 41 down into position onto the concrete footings. Kevin did get video of that. It's my understanding he's putting together kind of a video that'll encompass the whole project that's going to be coming out shortly. And then this would be just as you pass the bridge there on the other side, leading to the underpass. So a great project. It's a connection that's, you know, I think a really important link, getting people east to west safely across 41. So a lot of positive feedback on it. And I think it'll be exciting to see the number of kids maybe riding their bikes to school utilizing this trail this fall.
Or initially had some concern. Have you heard any feedback or anything? Are they okay with how the project ended up, or?
Yeah, I haven't heard anything directly.
Okay.
But, you know, from my understanding, you know, Brian, you know, and the crews that have been out there, everybody's been happy with it, you know, and I think you know, anytime you lay down new asphalt, it's nice and smooth and black and looks nice. And I think it turned out even maybe a little bit wider than what it originally was. So I think that's a benefit too. So.
It's
The bridge looks great from Highway 41 when you drive by.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
really looks nice.
When you come down the slope, the trail to come down, you can actually, because they took that big cottonwood out, now you can see the brand new pavilion.
Yeah,
Overlooks that. It's because you could never see it before, because that cottonwood was like
huge.
massive.
Yeah, and just kind of trimming some of the brush and stuff, you know, throughout the woods there, I think really helped.
I had a couple questions about this, and I've been over this a few times already, because that's my backyard, and I was just on it this morning with my youngest daughter. Actually went for a walk this morning, and Daddy, take a picture of me on the new bridge. And I'm, okay, great. But I did have one question about the painting of the bridge, because right now it's like it's all rusted, you know, and I'm just curious if that's going to get painted or not. And then also the access point that the crews use coming in from East Lake Drive, what happens with that? I was just curious about that.
So the access point, I think, will get restored. And then I'm not sure about the painting. I'll have to follow up with you on that.
Okay.
If it's intended to get painted or if it's supposed to be just that.
Because you walk up to it, like when you look up, and you can see it in this picture here, if you look up on Highway 41 there, above that wall there, you can see a really nice green fence there. But if you pull back and you see the bridge is like all rusted out. It looks all rusted out. And I
If
was
you
just
touch it,
curious.
do you get rust on your hand?
No, I did that this
Okay.
morning. I was like, is this getting on my hands?
That's supposed
And
to
I'm
be
like,
the
Maybe
look,
it is
or does it
supposed to
look
be.
bad?
Call it rustic?
Oh, it's rusted.
Isn't that
Can I get a rim shot in here? Kevin, can you insert a rim shot in there on the playback?
Even the new bridge that they installed over in Chanhassen off of 101, was a huge bridge
Oh,
in it.
yes, you're right.
It's also that same
Yeah.
kind
It's
of
just low
rustic
maintenance.
look.
Yeah,
so-
I mean, if that's what it's intended to be and it doesn't, that was my first thing, like Georgiana was saying, I was like, is it something, like, can I touch this? I'm like, I don't mind, if that's the way it's supposed to be,
Yeah.
great. I just was curious if it gets painted or if it's supposed to be like that, and then.
Yeah, there's a lot of bridges that they have a special metal that it oxidizes just on the surface. So you don't have to paint it, because I think if you painted that thing, you'd end up painting it every few years.
Ah,
and it would be
Yeah,
a pretty big maintenance cost.
yeah.
I just want to touch on the restored part. We're not talking like bird's foot trefoil and like the the mix that they use for erosion where it's like really fast, but it's actually like it's literally invasive species that they use, that they're going to use like natives. Or was that not part of like the construction?
You're talking, so where they,
Yeah, and that access point.
on that access point?
Yeah.
I don't know exactly what the plan is
Okay.
for the restoration. Typically, it just gets restored back to what it was.
Wow.
But I don't know.
It's probably going to be bird's foot trefoil is what I'm guessing. That's usually what construction companies use.
Okay.
So, I don't know. I was just curious.
Yeah,
Well,
if you got thoughts and you want to email me, I'd be happy to pass that along to Brian.
Okay.
is it the construction folks that would be doing that, or would it be Brian and?
I think it might be Brian. So,
okay.
I mean, there's a decent amount of this project that was
Right,
self-performed,
that's what I
so,
thought.
yeah.
I think I always thought that it might actually not even be private property, but my understanding is that it is. Because it looks like there's two lines of bushes. Like here's one property line here and here's another one, so it looked like just a natural space for people to enter in down to the trail. But I believe the people in the home to the south of that line actually own that property, but I don't know that for a fact. But it
Yeah.
just looks like, it's like, oh, we should just pave this.
Yeah, they may have just gotten a temporary
Well, and-
easement.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
but maybe it'll just be grass now.
Well, there should be some trail access there, shouldn't there?
That's it, it feels like a natural point, because where the street, where East Lake comes off into where all those townhomes where they park, and they have a little loop of their own back in that corner, but it's where Bender Road and East Lake Drive turn around and go back to the south, and it's like a natural entry point for anybody that comes down to that area, like, oh, we'll go here, otherwise you're going down and down this big slope where you can go back off on the Chaska Trail around to the pavilion, or go on this trail right here, and
It'd be interesting to know.
How long did this project take, and originally was it urgent? Like, did a lot of people want this bridge, in the area want this bridge to be built?
Yeah, so the underpass under Highway 41 was part of the Highway 41 improvement project, which was probably like 3 years ago now, at least, maybe 4.
Yeah.
And so then this underpass really just kind of led to a dead end. And so the intent was to always build this connection. It just got delayed. But yes, there's a lot of community feedback desiring this connection, and so.
Jalen, everybody wants to go to Target. That's how we get to Target without having to go over 41.
I biked to Target through that tunnel the other day.
See, that's exactly what I'm talking
I want to go to Dairy Queen.
about. Oh, you can go there other ways. There's other ways to
Yeah.
DQ.
Well, and it went through some different iterations in design. If you remember initially, it was gonna the elevation was gonna be lower to be able to widen the trail, and then there was gonna be the need for retaining walls, and it was quite expensive, and so it just took us some time to talk through that, and I think we came up with a good option that was kind of fiscally responsible for the community, so.
Jalen and I live in that neighborhood, and just as a parent, like, who wants to go to the other side of 41, because there's some parks and other trails over there, that was, like, I moved in that neighborhood 3.5 years ago, and we knew that that was coming. We were like, we want that today.
Yeah.
We want it now, and so it was really nice to see this come together.
Okay.
Really, very much appreciated, for sure.
Okay.
Okay, and then next up is some pictures of the Chaska Town Course. The tennis courts recently got a new overlay. And then right adjacent to the tennis court is the basketball court, which got an overlay too. So they were due. There were lots of cracks in them, almost pretty much unplayable. So it's good to see that come together. Looking really nice out there.
Great.
And then lastly, I got some pictures from the construction of the cricket pitch out at McKnight Field. So this occurred kind of the latter half of June. So as you can recall, the Public Works crews self-performed all of the subsurface here. So just some action shots of the crews out there. There you can see the concrete and then the turf getting installed.
That's cool.
So
Yeah, it looks great.
I think just another good example of collaboration with, a segment of our community that had a desire for a sport that we didn't have to offer here in Chaska. And so really, I think out of all of this, just want to compliment our public works crews for, the amount of work they put into these projects, managing them to self-performing a lot of the work, on top of all the other things they have to maintain throughout the city. So big kudos to them. The cricket pitch is getting a lot of good use. I actually drove over there tonight before our meeting. They actually have a youth league every Tuesday night, and I think there is probably about 30 kids out there with coaches in various stations. My understanding is they are trying to put together like a friendly match this Saturday morning, with the kind of intent of community being able to come out and just watch some cricket play. So if you haven't already, check out their Facebook page. They have a Chaska Cricket group Facebook page, and that's where they would communicate that. And then I also have lined up, because I know there was interest among the park board, for next month before our park board meeting at 5:45, we'll do a work session out at the cricket field, and some of the cricket club members will be there, and we can watch some of the kids practice, and then we can also learn about the sport and give it a try as well. So I'll send out more information between now and then, but something to look forward to. And then I'm also lining up another opportunity with the cricket club over a lunch hour at some point, just for city staff that are interested to go out and learn about it and experience it as well.
You mentioned before that they were going to mark the field out there. Did they complete that as well?
I didn't get out of my truck to actually look if they've marked it, but I'm sure they have by now.
Okay.
Yeah,
I was there this weekend, and I think they had
It's
it
marked.
marked, yeah.
they mark it, great.
Can you remind us where it's located?
McKnight Park,
Ah,
yep,
okay.
right off of Pioneer,
Yeah, so is it down,
west of 41.
is it near?
Next to the Jonathan Elementary School,
Yeah,
kind of in that field over there.
it's a huge field, is it?
Huge field, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
Somewhere down there, all
So
right.
multi-purpose field, we use it for soccer and flag football. Yep. All right, that's all I had for the CIP updates.
Okay. Other department happenings.
All right, so I just have a bullet point list of some other things just to keep you aware of things going on in our department. So work continues on the financial kind of analysis of the community center. We're working with Baker Tilly, a consulting company. Prior to July 4th, we were able to actually meet in person, which was nice. Kind of get a progress update on some of the work we've been doing, and so we're getting close. There were a few follow-up items that stemmed out of that meeting, and then I'll be starting to now really put a focus on putting the RFP together for the community center master plan project, with the hope of that being ready sometime this fall to kick that off. Throughout the month of June, the Carver County Arts Consortium helped to recognize the 5-year anniversary of Prince's passing. So they had a Purple Rain theme, and it actually stemmed to all the communities throughout Carver County, but a little more so with our partnership. So had a really neat exhibit in the art gallery, and then on June 17th, they held an event in the art gallery and in the theater where they made Prince an honorary member of the Arts Consortium. So that was pretty neat. And then if you get a chance, stop on over to the art gallery. Their current exhibit is called the Micro Mystery Tour. So it's intended to be small things close up, I guess, but a lot of neat artwork up there. And they'll be having an exhibit reception on July 22nd from 6:30 to 8:30, if you're interested in that. Back on Sunday, August 27th, we held a really successful Pride picnic in City Square Park. Another great collaboration with Human Rights Commission, along with the Chaska High School Gender and Sexuality Alliance in our department. And had a great turnout. I think there was over 200 people, lots of fun activities, and really nice to see more youth and teenagers coming out to an event. So that was so successful that we'll definitely be planning on making that an annual event going forward. Weather permitting, we have a new adult beanbag league starting up in Carver tomorrow night. And that is completely full with 16 teams, so that's good to hear. On Thursday, we'll be offering another community food distribution event over at the former Gedney site. And so the Chaska Cares team is always a part of those events. We actually package up and then deliver some of the food to seniors within senior housing that aren't able to make it to the site. And so that's typically from 11 in the morning until about 1:30. So if any of you have interest in helping out this Thursday, we do have spots available. Just email me and I can get you some more information if you would like to help out with that. This coming Friday night, we'll be hosting Noche Latina at Fireman's Park. Another fun event that we have planned. So there at 5:45, we'll be offering a free Zumba class in the park. And then at 7 o'clock, Salsa de Sol with Latin band will be playing. There's going to be kids activities and food and beverage available for purchase as well. So looking forward to that. Staff at the Curling Center recently completed their annual ice maintenance, so they take the ice out, perform maintenance, and then rebuild the ice back up. And then next week, we'll be hosting the U.S. Juniors Curling Camp at the curling center. So there's gonna be about 100 kids from all over the country coming to participate in the camp throughout the week, and then there'll be it'll finalize in a bonspiel over the weekend. So lots of good curling activity happening over there. The bonspiel for the Fire and Ice Festival that we'll be planning or hosting the weekend of October 15th, filled with all 48 teams in a matter of about 5 minutes with a major waiting list.
Wow.
So that was a really good sign. Again, teams coming from all over the country to participate in that event. We really weren't sure what the response was going to be, just moving it, from July, our normal July date to October. And then just still with some of the travel and COVID stuff. But obviously, it's still a huge hit. But looking forward to that event. Some plans are definitely coming along. We'll have fireworks again, both Friday and Saturday night. Friday night, we have a band called Four on the Floor that's going to be playing, local band. And then Saturday night will be Johnny Holmes. And then also this year, we'll be partnering with the fire department to help them celebrate their 150th anniversary. So there's going to be an old-fashioned fire truck show, and we'll be doing the firefighter water fights and things like that. So looking forward to a fun weekend, and cross our fingers for some good weather in October. With the warm weather, Fireman's Beach and Concessions has been going strong. If you drive over there, you see it pretty much packed all the time, which is great to see. The Chaska Community Centers continues to ramp up with more and more activities. The lodge is reopened. So it's been really, really awesome to see all the lodge participants coming back and feeling comfortable. And we're nearing completion of the fall activity guide. So as I alluded to, I think a few meetings ago, this is our first attempt at designing this activity guide in-house. Typically, we've always contracted that work out, so big kudos to Krista and Jamie on our staff who are putting that together. And then our intent is that activity guide is going to be available only online or on site at our facilities. And so we're looking at it as a cost-saving measure to not print and then mail to every single household in the district. And we'll just kind of evaluate that, see what the effect is as we move forward. So that's going to be available on August 2nd. And that's it.
Okay, thank you, Marshall.
Yep.
The last active item in the agenda is other reports roundtable. We can start from this end, Tom, if you'd like.
Absolutely. A couple of weeks ago, I was down in New Ulm for a graduation party, and the park where it was at had outdoor exercise stations, which I thought was really cool. And I was wondering, do we have those anywhere in Chaska? And if not, I think it would be something maybe to plan for. Yes. I thought it was really cool. You can jog to each station and do a little exercise and jog to the next one. So I thought that was really fun.
Yeah, great feedback. So yeah, we currently do not have such equipment in Chaska, but I am 100% with you that it'd be something we'll want to look forward to in some of our new park developments.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Another thing about the new park developments too is, I know Chaska has a lot of sculptures around, and wondering how do we get sculptures for the new parks? Do we put out RFPs to artists for that, or how does that process work?
That's a good question. Ultimately, as a park board, it does include the arts, and, the fact that we now have this partnership with the Carver County Arts Consortium. I could see where we could partner with them and develop a process you know, based on whatever opportunities we're looking to install some artwork within our parks.
Yeah, and I think now is probably a good time to start thinking about that because the artists, I'm sure, are gonna wanna look at the spaces and then it takes a while to plan and build and do whatever they're gonna do, so. I guess, and then the last question on that, do we currently have like a map of the sculptures that we have around? I like looking at them. Is there something that we have of that nature?
I don't think we have a map,
Okay.
no.
Just like a little pinpoints of where they're
Yeah.
at, or?
But one thing I'm thinking about is we could look at incorporating that into our online park inventory. Let me look into that.
Because I know where I live by Walden Park, and there's like a 20-foot crane, metal sculpture of a crane, a bird, and it's really neat. And there's a couple other things over by Clover Ridge that are really kind of cool too, so. You know, celebrate those things that we have out there. They're pretty
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, so this wouldn't necessarily be a paper map, but it would be something that you could see online and then maybe give a little overview of, because I don't know either if do this, or is there a plaque explaining like the artist and,
There's always something that says who the artist is, but not necessarily what it means, you know,
Sure,
but
yeah.
yeah.
leaving it open to interpretation?
Yeah.
We
Thanks,
need to
Tom.
do a bike tour of the
Right?
sculptures.
Yeah,
that would be, yeah.
Great idea, I like that.
Georgia?
We've been continuing to enjoy the community center, and my husband noted a couple weeks ago now, we must feel like we've got COVID under control because the water fountains are open. And I always forget my water bottle, so I appreciate that. I've also, I think it's the city of Chaska who put on the fireworks program.
Yeah. I think my
We
park-
hosted some friends from St. Paul because they did not do fireworks this year, so that felt good, and they did actually a great job. We were watching Chanhassen, and ours lasted a little bit longer, so. Yeah, so that was a great opportunity to kind of show off Chaska
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah, apparently fireworks, I guess, for some communities were hard to
Yeah.
acquire. Yeah.
Yeah.
There
Yeah.
was some, I think it was Excelsior maybe, that, like, July 5th, there was a story that came out and said, by the way, we didn't do it this year, but we're doing it next year. I mean, it was literally the next day. I think they had so much feedback about why didn't you do fireworks this year? I think it was Excelsior, but
Okay.
it was something, somewhere near here, but anyway, sorry.
Oh, that's all right. No. That's it. That's all I have.
Nick?
It was mentioned earlier about the print stuff with, at the community center. Just as a side note, maybe people have had the opportunity to do this, but maybe not. The tunnel that goes underneath Highway 5, right by Paisley Park, I highly recommend checking that out. There's become this sort of organic art exhibit in of itself. It's just all the stuff that's on the fence line that runs adjacent to Paisley Park. They cut it off at a certain point, but when you go down in that tunnel, it's just people scrawling stuff, doing pictures, and just noting where they're from and where they've been there. And it's just, it's really, I went there just recently, and it had been a couple years since I went down there. But it just blows me away every time I go through there. But just highly recommend checking it out. It's become like its own little art exhibit down there. But it's really cool. And I believe Highway 5 may at some point be named Prince Rogers Nelson Memorial Highway. So I don't know if that got through or not yet, but let's be discussed. Great point about the outdoor workout stuff. There's a park in Mankato that we go to every once in a while. I think it's called Sibley Park, but a massive outdoor park, public space, workout equipment. It's really cool. And we were just somewhere this last week, I think it was Highland maybe in Bloomington, that also had, and one of my 8-year-old daughter was like, hey, can we go play on that right now? I want to get a workout in, Dad. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
It's great. No, we don't have time. I'm sorry. Just really, really great point to bring up. A couple things that I wanted to talk about today, mention was one, I really enjoyed the meeting that we had last month, doing just going out, hanging out with everybody on the bus, but going out to the physical spaces and getting a chance to really see that stuff. I think it really, just for me personally, it really helped my understanding of some of the things that we're discussing, and I just really appreciate it. I really enjoyed also getting to know everybody a little bit better too. But, one thing I wanted to bring up was the sports facility that sits over kind of by the community center. It's in between Middle School East and La Academia. The school district, Eastern Carver County School District, built this after the 2015 referendum, and I was just curious if there was an opportunity for us, in terms of like Chaska Park and Rec, maybe to partner up with the school district to try to do some stuff in that facility in the wintertime. Whether it's, I mean, you just mentioned something I was gonna bring up too about the success of beanbag leagues here.
Yeah.
And I think about that facility, and I think that there might, it feels like, to me at least, and I don't know what their programming is like, but it just feels like there's still some opportunity there, maybe to partner up with the school district to possibly do something in that facility in the wintertime. I don't know if that's a possibility or not, but I wanted to at least bring that up and share that, because it just seems like a cool facility, and I've never once been inside it, but I drive by it all the time.
Yeah.
The dome you're talking about?
Yeah, the dome, the little dome. I forget what they have a name for it, but I forget what it's called. I just call it the bubble.
Yeah.
Yeah, my son-in-law has been playing soccer over there in the
Yeah.
wintertime. And actually, he's been playing it in the summertime over there with the dome down,
Yeah.
and that is terrible. And they've got that rubberized black stuff
Yep.
on there, and the surface has to be 130 degrees in
Yeah.
the sunshine. It is really steamy.
Yeah, and it was interesting because the first couple of years they had it, you'd see that where they'd put the dome up in the winter, take it down in the spring, but last year, obviously, they left it up the whole year because of getting crews out to take it down for COVID. But at least that's what was shared with me, but I just think there might be an opportunity for us to do something there, whether it's like a football league, or it's beanbags, or it's just opening up some running space for people. Maybe there's a partnership to be had there.
Yeah, so my understanding is the community is welcome to use it for walking on the outside perimeter when it's open. And then as far as programming goes, that's certainly something I can look into more. You know, the school district does schedule it. My understanding, it is pretty well maximized. And I think we haven't programmed in it as of yet, just because of the cost to rent it. But if there's some more opportunities to look at that in a different type of partnership, you know, I think that'd be a good outlet in the winter for people to get some activity. The other thing too we'll have to be mindful of is, you know, obviously the school district serves all the other cities in the district, and so if there were other park and rec departments that would have an interest, we'd need to factor that in, or maybe it's even an opportunity to collaborate
Yeah.
with those other park and rec departments to put on some sort of active opportunities for community.
Yeah.
And I think now is a good time for me to reach out and have those conversations, as they're probably starting to even start getting schedule requests. And
Feels like now, I think especially, just in general, it feels like a really good time for collaboration between municipal bodies, you know, things like school district and municipal organizations, just because everyone's feeling the, you know, tightening the belts in terms of dollars. And I just think it's a great time right now across the board for any kind of level of collaboration. I know that obviously our department and everybody here welcomes that, and I just think that there's a great opportunity there.
Yep. Yeah, and there's a new community education director coming on board as well. Sean is her name. And so I've already reached out to her and have a meeting lined up towards the end of the month, just to get to know her and start planting some seeds for
It's great.
collaboration.
It's awesome. Speaking of the school district, 2 weeks ago, our school board for Eastern Carver County School District did vote to put an operating levy on the ballot this November. That doesn't impact us at all, but as we saw last month when we went out and looked at that, what could be the last big public park in Chaska, that's something that is going to come down the road for us eventually. The district is not going out for a bond to build that new school this year, that eventually would be there, but I could very well see that in a couple years, that they will do that. But they are going off for an operating levy here this November for the
Okay.
school district. But just something for us to be aware of and be thinking of that long-term. They're gonna have to build that school there at that site that they've got mapped out. And then obviously that falls into our purview in terms of the park and the space out there that we looked at last month.
Yeah.
It's just massive. I've driven by it a few times since then. I'm just like, man, it's gonna be just such a big, beautiful park at some point. But I just had a quick question about that beanbag league, that Carver beanbag league. I saw that pushed out this last week. I was curious about the level of partnership between us and the city of Carver. Just in terms of maybe there's even more opportunity in terms of facility stuff down the road.
Yep.
I don't know what the interest level is in that, but what do they have right now for in Carver for park and rec and facilities? Because it seems like they're just growing so fast right now, but maybe they don't have the kind of the infrastructure that we have right now. I was just curious about
Yeah,
where
so,
they're at with things.
good question. So if you didn't know, we actually have a formal recreation agreement with the city of Carver. So they essentially lean on us to provide some recreation programming in their community. And then in addition, there's kind of a built-in sort of reciprocity for them to access our facilities at the resident rate. And so I think that's something that was pretty intentional, just as we, go forward into the future. It's nice to have those things in place so we're not necessarily having to duplicate facilities.
Yeah.
We already in Chaska have quite a bit within our system.
Yeah.
But inherently, there's always going to be some things maybe we just can't accommodate, and so then if that's something that, Carver has the capability of, it's just such close proximity, it's nice to be able to work that way.
It seems like
So-
you guys have a really good relationship that just continues to grow, and that's really great to see because it seems like there's a lot of potential to do some really, like when we moved here in 2014 and I saw what the city of Chaska was willing to do in terms of partnership, doing the event center, the curling center, the restaurant right there, to me that was like a multi-level, multi-prong approach to collaboration, and it seems like our community is really open to that. And it seems like this particular thing, Chaska and Carver, there's a lot of potential there for maybe even in terms of to resolve some of the facility needs down the road, where if we've got the sort of the resources, the skill sets and the manpower, so to speak, and then they maybe can partner up on some of the facility stuff, there might be some, can even take that to the next level. But that,
Yep, yeah, that's exactly what that agreement
that's what that feels like. at
is
least.
kind of doing. And some of the things that we've been trying to work towards is even the programming we're doing in Carver is available for Chaska residents to,
Yep.
to participate in, and vice versa.
It's really cool. I'm sorry, taking up all the time here. So one last thing is, do we have an app, like a Parks and Rec app or a City of Chaska app that we use right now? Or anything? Because it
Nope.
feels like there might be an opportunity there that it's no different than like not printing the guides for the programming for things in the fall and winter. That just gets loaded into an app. And if we can just, or it's a guide about, the public art and the bike trails, events, Touch a Truck. I saw an advertisement for that the other day, and just like, to me, I think there's probably some great opportunity there rather than have everything being web-based, but in terms of something being app-based, that everybody has smartphones. The spectrum of ages and ease of access and comfortability of using it, it's such a wide swath that feels like there might be some potential for us to maybe we push that out of our department for the city of Chaska, or just try to start something, with some of the things we're working on right now, and just start small and build it up. But there might be some potential to do some really fun stuff with an app.
Okay.
Just a suggestion, just an
Yeah.
idea. We get to dream here, right?
That's right.
If I
I
can,
pass. I yield the rest of my time to everyone else.
If I can just be a dream crusher, I have looked into, at my work, we looked into making an app that would be kind of similar to that, and it costs a lot of money, like 6 figures or more is what it would.
Some of the stuff that I've worked on just in
Yeah.
work stuff, to me, it's all about scale, right? Like, if you're gonna go for the Cadillac version up front, you know, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that we do just chintzy, just get by with stuff, but
Yeah.
it's like a lot of things. I think it's worth exploring, though, like, it might be expensive to build it, but man, I think the payoff could be huge for the community.
I think so too.
Yeah. Dream crusher.
I know, and I'm usually not. I just was like, I just remember it being really
It's on the
expensive.
public record now. Dream
That's true.
crusher.
That's true. It is. It's on the public
I'm
record.
sorry, no, I appreciate that feedback, I do.
She's thinking of the budget, and
Yep, I
that's
do, no, I
okay.
appreciate that.
For once.
Physically responsible, I think.
Yeah.
I will add to that I was trying to sign my son up for the soccer league that's starting up, and I had the hardest time navigating the Parks and Rec activities page just to get back to sign him up. An app would have been easier. But it was not quite as intuitive, and I think I'm a fairly bright person sometimes.
Well, and hopefully the new platform that the activity guide is coming out on will make that easier. We're using a software called Lucid Press, and my understanding is you'll be able to basically click right on the link that's part of that activity, and it'll take you right to the specific spot where you would register.
That would be very
So-
user-friendly.
Because that's one of our challenges is our registration module is not, it's a different platform than our website. And so it's taking you to a whole nother site.
Okay. I have a whole system for signing up for lap swim too, so
Yeah, yeah.
with reminders and everything, it's intense. I just am super impressed with a lot of the programming coming out of the Parks and Rec department. My family's actually gotten to enjoy getting out in the community this year because last year my kids, COVID, but now my kids are old enough and we've gone to Pride Picnic, which was fantastic. We went to the Bazillionaires at Fireman's Park and the kids were just, they had so much fun. And we're looking forward to soccer for my son. It's just been really, really fun to be able to engage in some of these programming offerings that are coming out. One comment, safety comment that I have for a crossing, how soon are we addressing the bike path across Engler by the community center just before Bavaria? Because we almost got hit twice in the last 8 weeks. And it's not traffic coming down the hill, it's when people come around the corner. Is there any ability to do like an interim, like flashing light that you can hit a button and it's like, I don't know, 50 yards out so that people coming around the corner at least have that like, oh, there might be somebody to watch out for because we walk across it and it's very treacherous. So how soon are we addressing that particular intersection? I know it's on the docket at some point, but.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't really have a good answer for you today because, that involves other departments. But what would be helpful is if you could just email me the details and just kind of your experience with that, and then I'll bring that forward to our Public Works and City Engineer and just see where that's at and can get back to you.
Will do, thank you. That's all I
That
have.
it? Liz?
I just want to mention that the library has available these take and make kits for young kids, and they're super fun. It's just a grocery sack, and everything you need to make a craft is in there. It's all together. They have tons of them. They're available while supplies last. I think you can check out their website, and it corresponds to a different book of the week, I think, that gets read, and they're just really, really neat kits. And then they also have some different summer programming to encourage reading during the summer, and then if you do so many activities, you can take your activity sheet in, signed by your parent, and get a free book. So neat programming out by the library right now. And then golf, if you're into golf, like I am. The town course has their state open, the Minnesota State Open this week. It started today and it goes through Thursday. And they're welcoming spectators, so go out to the town course, check it out, watch some good golf, and have fun, enjoy the weather. And then Chaska River City Days is coming up, so just a plug for that. I checked out the website today, and it looks like they have tons of fun events planned. So go down and patronize some of the local businesses down there, check out the booths, the games. It'll be for sure a lot of fun, and that's the weekend of July 23rd through the 25th. And then last but certainly not least, the happiest day in Chaska, Touch a Truck, is scheduled for August 18th. So mark your calendars. It's for all the kids. It's so much fun watching all the fun happen there. So definitely mark your calendars, August 18th.
And the park board hands out hot dogs,
It's really
the
fun.
thing.
It's so
We
fun.
did, how many hot dogs did we do last
Yeah,
time?
well, sorry to be the dream killer here,
No?
but we're not gonna be doing hot dogs this year.
Oh, no! That was the
Hamburgers
best.
and brats?
I think just,
Even better?
again, just due to
Heroes?
the COVID type stuff, we're just being precautious there, so.
Oh,
I think there's gonna be maybe food trucks, there, but we'll maybe see if there's another way to
Some sort of
create
trinket
some
can we pass out to the
volunteerism
kids? or-
opportunity for the park board, yeah.
Yeah. That
'Cause it
was
is
so
fun.
much fun.
Yep. The hot dogs will be back.
how many did we do the other year,
Oh.
last time? Do you remember, Mary?
We've always hit 1,000.
Yeah.
I think that's how many we cook each year, and there's
And
never
there,
left.
yeah, and we usually run out, but we run out at the end, so it's
Timing
pretty
is
good, you
Usually
know?
pretty good,
Mm.
yeah.
It was a lot of fun.
So despite there not being hot dogs, just show up. It's fun. It's fun. All right, that's it for me.
I've been participating in the Tri-Fit that Melissa Goff is putting on, so I just wanted to give her a shout out. She gives a weekly update, little email.
Yeah,
It's pretty fun.
What is that? Is that like online activity or?
Yeah, it's kind of like it's like a challenge for a month-long challenge to do, you do strength and yoga and cardio, and you like mark it on a calendar. So it's just trying to encourage you to try different things and like kind of highlighting the different like fitness activities we have around here and like also at the community center. So it's kind of fun. Get a t-shirt at the end,
That's awesome.
Do anything for a t-shirt. And then I wanted to shout out the Chaska Farmers Market. Been going there every week, and they always have some really good stuff. Always local people and artists. I just bought some pottery from them. Everyone's super friendly. I really wanted to shout out. Wednesdays 3 to 6. And then I've been, hiking along the trails, and I've been finding lots of restoration opportunities that we could have. So Marshall is gonna probably be very upset that I have been taking pictures and been like really looking at opportunities for us to have better natural areas on our trails and in our parks.
Oh, that's great, I'd love to
Okay.
see your photos and, yeah, get your ideas, so, yep.
Dylan?
Yeah, I got a couple things. So, first of all, I have a question. Was it the park board that was over the somewhat new, like, tiny playground built at Jonathan Elementary? Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
There was a tiny playground area that was added on to the two other playgrounds at Jonathan. That's were built recently. I was just wondering if you guys knew about that.
Nope, that wouldn't have been our department, so I'm
All
guessing
right.
it must have been school thing, yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Then it's not relevant in this case. And then.
But I'm curious.
Was it cool equipment or what?
Well, I mean, because I went to Jonathan when I was in elementary school, and I don't know how long it was. It was like last year where I saw it for the first time. I was like, what is this? Because that area used to be where we played football in the wintertime, and that's where we got to like tackle and have fun, And then they just built a playground there. That kind of made me mad. So I was like,
You're like red. You're
yeah. And then they also put wood chips in an area where we used to play wall ball all the time. So that also made me mad. But, I was just wondering if you guys were over it. Okay, and then the next thing, on the 4th of July, I did see all those fireworks that were put on. I'm pretty sure it was at McKnight Park. I do work at Dairy Queen, and I was working that night. So when I was like handing out blizzards and stuff, I saw all the fireworks. And then on my way home from work, there was a bunch of traffic because they were letting out, or like the police officers were directing traffic and everything because there were a lot of people that came to watch. So I thought that was pretty cool. And then, am I able to say something that doesn't really have anything to do with? Sure. All right, so I'd like to shout out, I don't know if you guys know who Paige Bleckers is. She's a, you know, she's a college basketball player who went to Hopkins High School just last year. She was a senior there, and she is the #1 girls basketball player in the country. And she attends UConn now, and she just won a couple days ago in SB. I think that's what it's called.
Oh, yeah.
So I thought that was pretty cool. And in her speech, so she is a white basketball player, and she shouted out black women, and how they don't get some of the recognition they deserve. So I thought that was pretty cool.
I did see that.
And that's about it.
Yeah, I saw that speech. That was very well done. Yeah.
Yeah.
I got to see her play a couple of times too. She's phenomenal.
Yeah. Very good.
Shout out Hopkins.
And I've played at Hopkins High School before, so it's pretty nice school. So that's just why I thought I should bring it up, because she went to Hopkins. So,
Local girl.
yeah.
I guess the only thing I wanted to talk about is, like Zach, I was very impressed with the group going out to the park last meeting, and it was great to get to know everybody better, and you realize how talented this board is, you know, and the different aspects we come from and all that stuff, so it was really fun. I really enjoyed it. And in our agenda meeting with Marshall and Jason, we were talking about it a little bit, and Marshall says, you know, we've got that van, anytime you guys want to go. So the challenge is now, we got one coming up, where we're going to meet over at the cricket pitch, I guess. But in the future, what would we like to see as far as the excursions, And I think they're absolutely great, and I'm with you. It helps us understand what's really going on in the community and what the things look like, like most people can't imagine. I'm one that can't imagine what 2.46 acres looks like. But you go out there and look at it and say, hey, this is okay.
That was helpful.
Yeah, it was very helpful, but we can do other things. So if there's anything you would like to go see and think we would help us as a park board, we're open to any suggestions. So you might want to think about it, and we'll talk about it maybe again a little bit at the next meeting. And the cruise director has said he's available.
Sculpture tour.
I told Dave,
Yeah, let's map out the sculpture tour, and then I will draw it.
And we can put it in our app.
There was a thing in Bloomington, my son lives in Bloomington, and they had a thing about art in Bloomington, and they had a little deal that you had on your phone, and you go along and you'd trace where the art was, and some of it was on buildings and things like that. You could put it in, and after you did so many of them, you got something, It was really pretty nice. It was very interesting, so.
Clever.
That's something that we may want to do with the art consortium in the future as well sometime. That's all I've got for tonight. Is there anything else anybody would like to bring up before we, I'm sorry, Mary? I almost forgot you. Is there
No,
anything
good.
you'd like to say?
No, good, thank you.
Okay. Nothing else, Marshall?
I think I'm good. Yeah, thank you all.
I'm grabbing the gavel. Need a motion.
Motion to adjourn?
Yes. Zach's motion, second?
Second.
Georgianne's second. All in favor?
Aye.
We're adjourned.